to another episode of Double B Creates. This is Brad and Kevin. Today we're talking to Cyndi Lemke, and we're super excited to have her on. And I'm going to let her do her own intro this time. We're going to change it up a little bit. So, Cyndi, take it away.
Thank you. So my name is Cyndi Lemke. I am the marketing realtor, and that's how I started my career into where I'm at now, which is the executive director for my local chamber of commerce. That's it. That's me in a nutshell.
Very short, very sweet.
Well, we'd be here forever in the intro if I told you everything I did.
So that's kind of one thing that we wanted to talk about, is kind of more or less like a history of you, your background, kind of how you started getting into the entrepreneurial world instead of working the regular 9-to-5 that you're supposed to do.
Oh God, are you ready for that?
Yes,
we are. That's why we're here.
Okay, so I actually started, my whole background forever, like, I don't know, 20 years, I was in retail management. And my first management position, I was like 10 years. I don't think it was 10 years. It was almost 10 years. I worked for Kenneth Cole and I loved it. I was a training manager. I went all over the country. I really loved my job. But when I started realizing that the people I was training were making so much more than me and they just started, I was like, oh, hell no. So I was like starting to talk to some of my friends, and a girlfriend who worked for Target, which is just a big box store, she was like, a department would be like your store. You should give it a shot because I know that they would give you more than what you make, and I'm like, Target? Like, I work for Kenneth Cole, like, oh my God. Yeah, they paid me like 10 grand more just to come on. But what they don't tell you is you don't work in your hometown store. You don't, you go and apply at your local big box store, and they put you in BFE because they got to put you where they need you. And so I commuted for, I think it was over an hour, sometimes an hour and a half with traffic just to get to work, and then it's not Monday through Friday, 9-to-5, like no retail is anyway, but it's not even like a 40-hour work week. You're working, 50, 60 hours just to maintain your department. And then 1 or 2 days, you're what they call an LOD, which is leader on duty, where you run the entire store. So that's 2 days that you don't have in your department. It was just, and then what killed me was when I ran my own store, I was like, the team, I don't know, like my passion was learning about the people coming in. What did they want to do? Let me help them get to their next level. Maybe they're going to go back to school. Maybe they were just working to, figure out, I don't know, like I would promote them and get them out of my store to their own stores or to other stores as a promotion. Like if you do stuff just for you, it's never going to work. And the people aren't going to want to be there. And we had a really good time. I'm actually still really good friends with 2 of the girls that I worked with. And of course, we're Facebook friends with everybody I worked with. But when I left Kenneth Cole and went to the other store, that is not how they do it. They fucking set you up to fail. And I mean, stupid, petty shit. Like, you would close, and then when you came in the next day, the manager had Polaroids of this aisle that was all jacked up, and I was like I would leave stuff on the floor. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Or they would hide carts so you didn't put stuff away and get busted for not putting stuff away. So when I realized that, and maybe it was just my store, maybe every other store is amazing and a great place to work, but it did not work out for me at that store. And I actually got fired for negligent conduct, and didn't realize that I probably could have sued their ass, because the door I left open that I got for negligent conduct was, when you see a cashier and they put the 20s down in the little box on the bottom, and then, they give you when you're closing, you have to leave that open so security and other people realize there's no money, so they won't break in to get it, right? That's the lock I left undone. So, but everything happens for a reason, because it was not where I was supposed to be. So I thought, I don't want to go back to retail. By this time I had 2 little kids, and I think I don't know, maybe they were 7 and 9, my two older kids. So I was like, I'm going to revamp my resume, because in retail, you do everything like any other business. You have HR, you have sales, you have inventory, warehouse, so if you just break down, I think that's when I realized I was different. Like, I'm not a Monday through Friday corporate, or that was kind of my first clue when I got myself out of Target and tried to revamp. And I went to, I put my resume on Monster, and I got hired for even more money than I was making at Target to be an operations manager Monday through Friday. It was far. It was like an hour away, but it was like, it was amazing. I had so much, I think I had my own office. I got to meet with people. I got to create new departments and training and SOPs and I loved it. But what I didn't realize is, again, I wasn't working by myself for my team. I had a director to report to, and then I had a sales manager that she had her own team, and the two departments that I created, all of that, the director didn't like. She didn't like me. Our personalities were not, so she was the polar opposite of me. So if people had questions or problems, they would come to me and I would have to take it to her, because she wasn't approachable. So she took it as I was like turning them against her kind of thing. So things got really weird, and she started giving me really weird projects like, I think you should put your desk in the warehouse, and you need to learn warehouse, top to bottom. Meanwhile, we had a whole team that wrote their own SOPs, and she was like, well, you need to make sure, like, just stuff to like make me hate it, right? So I was like, oh, I don't know, that's weird. I don't understand why this is happening, but okay. So when she realized that I don't give a shit where I work, you could put me in the warehouse. Like, what? Who cares? We're all here for the company or for each other, or, it didn't faze me. Then she started getting like passive aggressive, I would say. Because it was, when you're in a management position, you're responsible for your team, and you're going to be held accountable if you do something maybe illegal or harassment, so she would just do little weird stuff that was like, I didn't get it. So then corporate comes down, and they're in, I don't know, Idaho or Ohio, somewhere Midwest. And they wanted me to fly back and tell them what we had been doing there. Well, she got super pissed that they invited me instead of her. And when I was there, they said, would you be open to creating like a human resources department for all the companies? Because what this company did was, it was a really large company. They bought little companies, turned them around and sold them, because it was like mom and pops that maybe they wanted to retire or they didn't want to do it anymore, but it was a great opportunity. And so I was like, all I could think about in my head was, I'll do whatever you want me to do Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, as long as I don't have to work holidays and nights and weekends anymore. I will do whatever. Like, how does anybody not think this is the most amazing thing in the world, right? So when I came back, I think we had the holidays. So I didn't hear from corporate, and I never reached out. I never thought anything about it. I just thought, well, maybe there's something in the works or whatever. They fucking fired me in January and just said, we're going to eliminate your position. We're really sorry. We don't need this. But if you would like to transfer to wherever the hell they were, Ohio or Idaho, or I don't know where they were, you can have that job, but you can't stay here. Well, I have kids, my family, my in-laws, I'm not gonna uproot my family and go somewhere where I don't know. And when I went there, the Mexican food sucked. The people, just the whole environment was like, no. And I can't cook Mexican for all you guys all the time. Like, it's not happening. That was the worst Mexican food I ever had in my life. So then I was like, okay, that's okay. I'll start over again. Sorry. Mexican food's really important to me. Tacos are amazing. I could live on that shit. So then I revamped my resume again, and the local casino here said, we'll hire you for $14 an hour. And I was like, oh, hell no, you're not going to hire me for $14 an hour. I just came from all these other jobs where I wasn't even like I was offended. Like, why did you even call me? Like, of course I wouldn't. So I got him to hire me for 18, which was still like, oh my God, I can't believe. And I came in as the receptionist. Oh my God. I was like, that's okay. I could work my way up. You know, everything happens for a reason. You get put in spots for whatever reason. 2 weeks after I got hired, the sponsorship coordinator was gone. So they gave me that. Within a month, well, I'll just break it down for you. Within the next 2 months, we lost the advertising manager, the promotions manager, and then the director of marketing. Guess who worked their way up the chain in no time at all. So then I stayed there for like 4 years and loved it. It's a local, the local casino was, I mean, everybody came from LA. Like people would drive 90 miles just to come to the casino. I mean, it's, you know, we don't have a lot of those probably in LA and we do now in San Diego, but to me it was fun because it's marketing. This is where I learned my passion for marketing because it makes a huge difference when you give a shit about what you're doing for the community, right? So all I could think about was when I would go on the floor, there wasn't enough drink people in this section, but there was 3 of them over there. So I would just talk to people and be like, hey, you know, you have a lot of people here. Can we move them here? And then I started talking to the customers, like, what do you like? What do you not like? Why do you come? Where did you come from? And started incorporating all the feedback, even with the team, because the team that's on the lines with the clients have so much information. And what I was learning is a lot of times when you're in a management position or you're up, you know, running the company, doing the numbers, making, you know, executing the plan, you lose, it gets diluted because you forget who you're serving and what they're doing. And then you forget the people that are trying to take care of those people. It's marketing. All marketing is communication with your, I'm in a podcast right now.
Yeah, Dirk.
Close the damn door. So anyway, I learned a lot about marketing. And then when I had the vendors and I was honest with them and said, I don't know what we're doing, but if I find out that you screw me or the casino, you will never do business with us again. And I think 90% of them, I still talk to this day in local businesses, and we still work together and do other things, because I think another lesson is you have to be honest. Don't bullshit your way through things, and then, you know, ask questions, be honest, and get the stuff done. Like, it's not, because when you bullshit your way around stuff, you get figured out real quick. And integrity is everything. You have to earn where you're at, and you have to earn how you're going to get there. And if you start trying to fake it till you make it, you ain't going to make it. I hate that. I think that can be a like thought process or like a motivation to, like, I think you should dress the part. I think that you should, you know, be involved in the things you want to grow into, but don't ever BS an answer. You have to ask questions, and you have to do it right the first time so you don't waste time. Then so in that time when I was there, we were local chambers to probably 9 chambers of commerce. And I loved chambers of commerce because what that is basically a liaison for your community and your local businesses to take care of each other, either learn how to get a certain product or service, or how to give back and who needs it, you know? So it was just very, very cool. Well, then I was chairman of one of the other local chambers of commerce, and I met a lot of people that even though there's a lot of cities around, we're not that far from each other. So, you know, you can go 20 minutes east and you're in another city. You can go 20 minutes north of that city and you're in another city. So all of those cities have their local chambers, right? So I started meeting all these board directors and business leaders and the city councils and local dignitaries, if you will. And the one thing I did learn, and that you need to take advantage of, is everybody's approachable. Everybody's approachable. You can ask to be a part of anything, and they have to let you in because you do have something to contribute. So it's a win-win situation. Whenever you're trying to do something new, don't just try to think about what's in it for me. How can you contribute to them? How can it be a win-win situation? And I think if you do that with whatever endeavor you're doing, you're gonna surpass what you expected to do because you're giving as much as you're receiving. I think that, so what happened with that is I started building relationships. Well, I got recruited, basically. I loved the casino. I enjoyed it. It was amazing. I started falling in love with marketing. But then I thought, so one of the guys was like, we want to create a position for you. We love what you're doing, but this local nonprofit has a lot of opportunity and they had a lot of money so they could grow the service. So it was a fucking shelter. And it was still Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but it was in a shelter, man. Like the smell, oh my God. It was so different than what I had ever experienced. So I had like that doTERRA thing going. I had like the Sensi shit going. Because I am super sensitive with smell. Oh my God, it was painful, but then you get used to it and you move on. But what happened is it didn't work because I worked for another director who was really good at what he did. He was there for a long time. But what happens when we get comfortable, right? We don't like change, and we don't like people coming in and changing shit up and adding new things. Or this is not how the one statement that I hate is this is not how we always do it. That's good. You shouldn't always do it how that will cause you to fail every time. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to be changing. You have to be relevant. And part of that is not doing. Now there's a difference with tradition. There's things that you do because it works and it's proven, but that still has to evolve a little bit one way or another. Anyway, that didn't work out. So now I'm like, oh, and the guy that took my spot at the casino, of course I mentored him. Of course I got him. I wanted to share everything because again, truth be told, 2 of my older children are from the local reservation. So it behooves me for them to do well because then my babies are taken care of, for their futures and what they're doing. So I had more invested than just a company. I wanted it to succeed for the community. So I couldn't go back because I wanted to help that guy to succeed. So that was dumb. But so then I was like, now what am I going to do? And for 5 years, I could not find the perfect fit. I went to a fancy marketing firm in a bigger town about 45 minutes from here. And when you're an entrepreneurial spirit, you know what you know, what you know. You know how you want to do things, you know why you do things, and you have this voice inside of you that you can't shut up. And that's why most of us that are entrepreneurial spirits cannot work for someone. They can't work for someone else because we know we could do it better, right? So I respect authority. We need it in places. It just don't work for me, because it's never the same personality where you can, I like to work with people. I'm a collaborator. I do things with people, but a lot of people in higher positions in other places don't. They just want it their way, and God bless them, it works for some people, but it was not for me. The marketing. Okay, let me just tell you this. Dropbox is never private. Can you remember that, folks? Don't put stuff on Dropbox that you want other people to find. And as the new chick who has to go into the boss's office because even the office manager was too embarrassed to go to her boss and say, we saw all your pictures. Can't work there anymore. That's weird. Traumatizing. Wow. Oops. Yeah. So then I took some other jobs, but what started happening is people started coming to me for marketing. One of the other guys I met at one of the local chambers had his own business. He was an insurance agent, but he also bought a building and then rented out office space. So he hired me to do marketing for him. And then he is an entrepreneur, through and through. That's how he thinks. That's how he eats. That's how he breathes. And so he was coaching me. Cyndi, you need to start your own business. You can do a marketing company. And I'm like, no, I can't, because I had never thought of that. First of all, it's inconsistent. You never know if you're going to get paid every week. You don't know if you're going to have benefits. I wasn't willing to commit to that. Like, that sounds scary to me. I'm not doing that. I'll just work for you for $10 an hour, because sometimes you just have to get a job, right? So then I was like, this is bullshit. This isn't enough money. So then I started doing little side jobs, and I started helping people with their marketing. Then I started doing classes. Then I started, social media was so important to me. And this was probably back in 2011, I guess, maybe 2000. It was, earlier part of it where nobody was utilizing social media like they should have. It's free and everybody's on it. It's like the phone book. Everybody's on it from 5 to 95, and it's free. What's the matter with you? Get on social media. So I started teaching that and really making an impact. And so it did take me several years, probably 2 more years. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm gonna start my own company. Then I chickened out and I took another job. And I was there for a year, and I had a great time. It was really good. But the guy was from China, and I opened his business. He found me on Craigslist, by the way. You can get a job. You can do whatever you want to do. You just have to be creative, y'all. Like, I was like, if you can, there's a lot of things you can do on Craigslist. I'm sure I could get hired. So the guy from China, he was a lighting guy, he was like, messaged me, and he's like, I want to start a company in the US. Can you do that? Now, I told you earlier not to bullshit. I wasn't bullshitting when I said yes. I had never done that before, but there's Google now. We can Google a lot of things to find out how to do things, how to start a business, where to get a license, how to get insurance, who to talk to. And then besides all of the networking you're just doing and all those other networking groups and your chambers of commerce and your local friends and you talk to people and ask questions, because you may not know the answer, but you probably do know someone who does know the answer. All you got to do is ask. So I started the company. I increased his business 113%, but he was from China and I'm from Cali. And you don't talk to me like that. You don't do things to me like that. And we got into it, and I almost, like, it was not good. So that didn't work out. So then the day he fired me, my grandmother fell and broke her hip. And she had lived with us for a few years, but she got really, really sick. And so I continued to take jobs on the side. And truth be told, I was really scared to start a company because that scared me. Marketing is another thing that I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I didn't want to take your money to show you things that you could be doing. Like, I didn't want to take your money to show you how to master something you could be doing for free. So that I was my own worst enemy for my marketing company, because I never was confident enough to take your money and feel good about it. So it kind of wasn't going to work that way. So my grandmother got really, really sick. I was down to I think I was only managing 4 clients. So it wasn't a ton of money, but my grandma out of nowhere says, you keep doing all this stuff for other people. Why don't you do it for yourself? And I'm like, yeah, you think? I'm starting a marketing company. She's like, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. You're doing a thing on the side, but you won't really commit, She says, well, one of the things that I was doing was also helping people find office space, and just handing them over to commercial real estate agents. And I was always, one of the things that I used to always say was that and I know this is cheesy and don't make fun of me, but one of my dreams is to fill every empty building in my community with new business so that we create opportunity. People are proud of where they come from, and we contribute to society that way. We have 6 high schools, so there's lots of families. We have manufacturing opportunities if we just got with the city to build the locations for them to do it, because we have the space. There's promise here, there's opportunity here. So my grandma said, why don't you just become a real estate agent? And I was like, what the hell? What? Where did you come up with that? And she's like, because we had just Oh my God, when I think of the commission that I lost, sold my son's house, sold my daughter's house, sold our house, bought this house. Oh my God, that's so much money. Like, oh, you're right. I should become a real estate agent. So I was taking classes and, but it was really hard to take care of my grandma because she was getting worse and worse and worse. You know, time progresses. She was 88. She passed away in December of 2017. I committed to that real estate training and passed my test January 30th. So all of the stuff I just dragged you with me, all the stuff I just told you, I utilized and threw into my real estate. In my first year of real estate, I had 16 transactions and over $4 million in sales. 16 transactions and $4 million in sales. And that is because I committed to my business. And the thing is we can all do what we want to do. We just have to have the confidence in ourselves and the commitment to our success. So as I was doing all of these transactions, the local chairman for the Chamber of Commerce gave me a call, and I knew him because I had been active. He's like, hey, are you taking on other projects? And I was like, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he wants me to market for his wife is a doctor. So she has all these buildings. Like, do I really want to do marketing right now for other businesses? I was helping other real estate agents and, you know, because you also can't be afraid of competition. You guys can help each other. There's plenty of business for everyone. I always do classes for real estate agents because I know that there is plenty of business for all of us. And if you do good things will happen. I cannot believe the real estate industry and how these people are. They are monsters. They are monsters. They're awful. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. So, so then they asked me to consult for the chamber, and I was like, oh, like I love the chamber. Like I love the chamber, and there's so much more we could have been doing, but they always did the things the way they did it. We don't do it like that. We don't do it like that. Well, that's why you don't have a growth spurt of new businesses coming to. So I consulted for them for 6 months. I worked 20 hours a week at the chamber, which was probably actually 40, and then 20 hours on real estate. Continued to sell real estate, and they hired me full-time in May. We've, since I've been there, we've increased 100 members and are growing. We're over 500 members. I think we're at 531, 532, something like that. But I want to get to 1,000 members because we have over 2,000 businesses. There's no reason not to have 2,000, but I won't be greedy. That's now it's not even a nutshell. Now you know it all. That's where I am today.
I just keep going back to the homeless shelter and the smell because I work at a sewer plant, and I'm like, you big baby.
Oh.
I have been sprayed with stuff and stuff that you couldn't even understand.
I can't even think about it. Oh, you know what? I guess with every pregnancy, my nose got a little more sensitive. Like if you have bad breath right now, I could probably smell it. It's bad. I mean, not your breath, my nose. So I keep mints on my desk for people. Just kidding.
People are talking, you just like toss a Tic Tac in their mouth when it's
I'm like,
what was that for?
No, I don't. I don't say anything. Like, I mean, I'm pretty straightforward, but I don't want to hurt your feelings. I want you to come back. That's so mean. Yeah, so that's a lot of stuff. I'm sorry I talked for a long time.
Oh no, you're good.
No, you're good.
I actually, we don't prepare questions. We just kind of roll with it. And there was one question I really wanted to ask you because of the demographic of your area versus like my area, for example.
Yeah.
Why is it, maybe in your personal opinion, are some areas so much more expensive to live in terms of real estate than others? I mean, like, perfect example, my house in a different area would probably be worth about 4 times what I paid for it. You know what I mean? Like,
so, yeah, well, and it could be simple and it could be elaborate, but the simple way to say it is, how close to amenities are you? How close to, what services do you have close to the house? If it takes you a certain amount of time to get to a grocery store, or, the post office, or that kind of, because then, that has a little bit of, some people, that's what they want. I get it. But, I think geographically that's why it is. So, I don't know in Utah, but in California, and don't quote me on this, but what my understanding is that every city and or county has to have a certain amount of, what is it called? The low-income housing. And that doesn't mean like a certain it just means maybe more affordable for like smaller homes or seniors or young families that are growing, so, and I know for a fact that we have a sister city that's really, it's like 5 times the price there than it is here. And they don't have that. And you're supposed to have that. But what they do is have a parcel that they have been working on for several decades to bring that low income housing to, and they don't. So I think it's a little bit of that. And then the other thing is I love my community, and I know that our elected officials are, they work really hard, and they have to take a lot of feedback for decisions that were made and things that they, impose or, bring on to the community. But we hear a lot of stories about like other communities dropping off people here, whether they're homeless or they just got out of jail, or like we've heard that. I don't know if it's true. I cannot confirm nor deny that any of that is going on. But what I will tell you is, the last probably 15 years, our demographics has changed dramatically.
Brad, do you remember, it was like 5 years ago, they took all the homeless population in Salt Lake and put them on a bus and sent them to Vegas? And then they sent them back.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It happens. So, and the reason why I do know it happens is because once in a while, you can take a moment. All of this stuff is transparent. Your budgets for your cities, your department budgets. So the police actually have a section for dealing with that. Like dealing with incoming traffic, if you will. Like, so it's obviously continual.
So I was thinking about, because you've mentioned the homeless and things like that, I was thinking maybe like that would affect housing prices. But like in Salt Lake, for example, the population of homeless is pretty exponential. But even the houses that are still right around the heart of Salt Lake, that's like the most expensive area of the whole county.
Where all the homeless people are?
Yeah.
So, but they're like in the city, and then the houses are in the suburbs.
Well, there's houses in the city, like, so
Yeah.
in Salt Lake City itself, up by like our city capital,
Mm-hmm.
every house up there is at least $800,000.
Well,
More.
but
And that's only maybe like a 5 to 10 block difference from the dense population.
but that happens everywhere. So in LA, you can go to the most beautiful, amazing nightclub on 3rd Street. And if you go 2 blocks, I don't remember what direction it is, but like 2nd Street or 1st Street, homeless encampment, like encampment. So in larger cities, that in the city, that does happen. And there's really, I mean, you just go blocks and I mean, LA is a perfect example of that. LA is a perfect example of that. You'll be driving and it's like mansion. Ooh, nice house. Oh, is that a homeless naked person? Like, what the hell? Like, yeah, no, it's, so I think the larger the area, that does happen. The smaller the area. So we don't have like over the top beautiful homes, like, mansions. We have, a couple maybe of, longtime families or whatever. but the median house, like the houses in my neighborhood are about 300, 350. But if you go closer into town, probably like, 250, 280. And then when you go and there's other parts of town where, a lot less, but you got a lot of work to do. So, and that's the other thing in real estate. I get a lot of phone calls. Hey, can you give me a list of the foreclosures? Or, hey, what's the best I can flip? Or, I hate those TV shows that make you can get $30,000 if you just flip this house. Yeah, but we forgot to tell you it's $200,000 for the house, $50,000 for the remodel, and then you got to sell it for $300,000 to get that 50. Like, they make it look like you don't have, and those ads that say, don't spend a dime and start being an investor. Bullshit, because even when you buy a house for a VA loan that is zero, they pay your down, you still have to pay closing costs. So if you're going to buy a house, please be prepared to put down 3% of the sale. Just be ready for that. If you can't do 3% of the sale, it's going to be rough for you, because that means we're going to get you into a house that maybe you can't afford. And do you really want to do that? Because then it's going to foreclose on you because you can't make the payments. So I try to be very honest with people. Like, I don't even want to talk to you until you get pre-qualified with a lender and you guys decide how much house you can afford and how much house you want to buy. Because, you have to be committed to that mortgage for the next 30 years. And I don't want you in a big, beautiful house that you're going to be out of in 2 years because you can't pay for it.
Right. Makes perfect sense.
But a lot of real estate agents and lenders don't do that.
They don't give a shit. They just want their commission.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't, to me, that's like shit. Like, don't shit where you eat. Like, yeah. You're going to run into these people in the grocery store. You're going to run into them, somewhere, and they're going to be like, that's a bitch that sold me that house.
Well, and not only that, if you get a good repertoire with them.
Yeah.
Word for me. So I had to pause.
I'm so proud of you.
But they'll be like, oh, they were wonderful. They were honest, this and that. Hey, go talk to this person. Hey, go talk to this person.
Yeah.
Hey, she was great.
Well, I mean, I have an incident where it was like family. So it was like, not only did I give up a lot of commission on that one because I had to pay for stuff because they didn't want to, but they expect a lot more from you and have a little less, they're too comfortable. So, they think you owe them because they're letting you, I've had a situation like that where it was really like a perfect example. We were going to go to breakfast the other morning and I saw them walking in. I was like, nope, not going there.
Huh.
Yeah. So, cause they're mad at me because they didn't get the price they wanted for their house. And I still had to pay for some things to make the deal go through, but you might think your house is worth $1 million and that's fantastic. That's why you're there. That's your house. But when you sell it, you got to be realistic with what the comps are. What did Joe Blow sell his house for that looks just like your house 2 doors down? It wasn't $1 million. So you're not going to get that. So that you run into that sometimes.
Yeah, me and my wife went out to a city that, we want to go to. And the real estate agent, she's actually really cool, really down to earth. And I told her, I'm like, I've been in the construction industry for a long time, so I tend to nitpick things. And, I know a good enough amount of the prices. And the one house she went into, and it was one that she was been trying for like 3 years to sell. And I walked in there and I'm like, nope. And I walked back out and she goes, but it's a beautiful house. It's a turd. I'm not putting this much work into it.
Well, nope. And if she's been trying to sell it for 3 years, I haven't seen it. I don't know who it is. I don't know what's going on. It's priced too high and there's too much work that needs to be done.
Yep.
It's that simple. I mean, I was telling you, Kevin, about that. One of the houses that I sold was a very close friend of mine. Her grandmother had a $2.1 million home in the desert. And all I could think of was, I could totally sell that. Are you guys familiar with Stagecoach and Coachella? Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
I've heard the name, but I don't know what it is.
So Stagecoach is a country festival and Coachella is the opposite of that. So her house is literally a few miles within that festival. And I knew we could sell it for either, talent that could be there or someone that wanted to rent it out. Like I knew it had a lot of work that had to be done. We had to be realistic. So she wanted 2.1 million. I knew she wasn't going to get that, but we sold it for 1.9, so you just have to be realistic and set the goals and talk about it, but you can talk about it all day long until you're blue in the face. And if it's priced too high and too much work needs to be done, you're never going to sell it because people are going to be like, nope, because there is some etiquette that you have to come in on. You can't come and lowball someone by, $50,000 or hundreds of $1,000s without offending someone. Someone's going to get pissed. And then they're not going to, negotiate with you very well after that. So, you have to price it right for yourself and to sell it.
I agree. There was one, because I just moved 6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. June, July.
There was one place that we looked at, and I loved the house. And I was like, it's a little high for the house and the land and everything that I need to do. We're a little steep. And my agent goes, I completely agree with you, but they're firm. And they're like, we're going to get this for the house. And I said, you're not. Well, it's been 6 months. That house is still on the market and just dropped $30,000.
Yeah. And you could have come in at $30,000 under and they wouldn't have taken it because they believed that someone was going to come in. So pricing is everything. And then you can't even commit to that price. When you do a comp, you're coming as close to something that has been sold that's just like your house. Because don't forget, an appraiser has to come in and say, yes, I believe your house is worth that amount. And if you say, $300,000, but the appraiser says, I say 372, guess what? You're not getting the person. And even if the buyer says, I'll buy it for 380, the bank will only do it on what the appraisal says. So they'd have to come up with the cash for the difference. That's why that doesn't work.
Right.
Yep. And I've had that happen too on a couple deals and one house was gorgeous. I mean, every upgrade you could think of, it was beautiful. It was immaculate, but there was a foreclosure, I think 4 doors down, of the same exact model. So they missed the financing. I think it was like 25 grand. So, and it was actually my daughter that was buying, and she was like, I want it anyway. I'm like, you don't have 25 grand. Like, the bank is only going to give you what the appraiser says it's worth.
Right.
And as a real estate agent, that's really frustrating too, because it's somebody's opinion. Like, it's this random dude that doesn't know anybody or anything, or he might not even know the area. And he's telling us what the house is worth. And he gets all the information. He knows what the house is going for, or she, they know all the information, but they're supposed to be protecting the bank, which I get, but sometimes I'm like, you're comparing it to something that obviously they didn't have the sense of, the ownership pride. They let their house go, where these people had, took care of their house and upgraded their house. And so that happens too. There's so many factors in buying houses that can affect the deal.
That same thing happens apparently across the board within any genre of business. Because Brad and I were watching a video, was it last week?
Yeah, last week.
It was the live of the dude at the body shop. And all he did the whole time was bitch about how shitty insurance companies are because they want to cut corners. And he runs his body shop and wants to do things right. So they won't allow him to do anything with them because he costs too much.
Well, I had a meeting with a potential client today, a potential member, and he worked for a very big car company and went through their master program. And he was like, just really, really high, did really, really well. But when the dealerships started being the places that you couldn't trust because they told you needed brakes and you didn't, or when that started happening everywhere, like everywhere else, he was like, I'm opening my own shop because I am not doing that. But they drill these numbers that you have to make that are so unrealistic that people are, fudging the numbers and, coercing people to buy stuff they don't need. And, that's awful.
Yeah.
But you're right. Every industry is like that because we have local home builders. When you learn about that process, as far as the construction crew, their timeline, and then the passing it over to the warranty guys who have to make up for all the mistakes that were made because it was done in such a short time, but the builder doesn't care as long as you get the people in the house. And now for 3 years after they're in the house, you're paying so much money when you could have just done it right the first time.
Yep. I worked for a builder, and there was one time before the 2007 house collapse happened, we would punch out houses in 3 months. We'd have the whole dug and everything done in 3 months.
Yeah,
and I was like, isn't this like bad? Because I'm like going through stuff because I was the QC guy, and I'd go through and be like, yeah, we do that and that and that.
Yeah.
And that. And they're like, well,
you know what? I don't even
go.
think they have those guys anymore. It's like a superintendent and the actual guys nailing the boards. You know what I mean? Like, they cut wherever, as whoever's going to slow them down, you're out.
Yeah. Yeah. When that happened, he had to close down because, he lost everything. And I went to another company for the same position, and I turned in my first sheet, and the guy's like, no, like half the sheet can only be reported. I go, why? He goes, it's like 2 months of work. Yeah, I know. The house is trying to fall off the foundation. Fix it. And they're like, oh, well, you're fine. No. I'm like, no. And after that, I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. No, I left that and left it behind. And I still get a couple of buddies that'll call me to go and inspect houses for them. And they're like, well, you have a license? Not anymore. Well, you know all the codes? I stamped the codes. So, yeah. He goes, well, come and inspect it. So I inspect it and hand it to him, hand it to the realtor, and the realtor gets pissed. He gets happy. I'm like, it's a piece of shit. Sorry.
Well, I showed this house, and it was everything the husband wanted, and the wife. It was the space they wanted. There was all this, but I could see the work, and I'm like, that needs to be painted. That needs to be fixed. That shouldn't even look like that. That needs to be, and he was like, no, I'll fix it. And I'm like, I pulled her aside and I said, look, your husband owns his own tire shop. He is always busy. He is not going to do this. So I just want you to be comfortable with what you're moving into. It's not turnkey. And are you willing to wait for him to find time or buddies to help him do that? Because thankfully we found another house. Yeah. Because that would have been a nightmare. I would have felt guilty. There's like, and it sucks to be like, sir, I don't think you're going to do that work that you say you're going to do. But dude, you don't have time. What makes you think you're going to have time to do that when you're running your own business that's very successful? He's always busy. So I'm like, the guys that he knows are helping him, work now. I'm like, so I was really glad that they got something else. But, I don't know. It's, and even inspections are tough too, because you guys have to just go visually. If it looks like there's something, you have to recommend that specialist, a plumber, electrician, a roofer, contractor. So that whole thing is kind of pointless to me, because if it looks like not good, then have somebody fix it before we buy it. But that costs money.
The art of negotiation.
You're right.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel bad for some people, and then I don't feel bad for other people, because it's like, I don't know.
I feel like,
and it can be overwhelming, because, we were talking about the homeless thing. We were talking about, just life in general. Our job is to take care of our family and our immediate circle, because if we try to take on too much for everybody else, which I have learned the hard way time and time again, it's too hard to balance, and it's overwhelming.
I think a lot of people too just don't know what they're getting into, and they just rush and jump the gun, and then all of a sudden they have to replace their roof. You know what I mean? So I think it would be highly beneficial to always advise your buyers to just know what the hell they're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's always hard too, because you don't know what you don't know. You know, you can have someone who's really, really smart in whatever it is they do, and their partner is really, really smart in what they do, but they don't know construction. They don't know, you know, they don't know what they don't know. So that's where the trust factor has to come in, which sucks because they get taken advantage of a lot of times.
Yeah.
You guys look tired. I worked you out.
No. I did a lot of cleaning today, and my wife's like, you got to do this. I'm like, but I got to do this. No, you're doing this today. I'm like, okay.
Yes, ma'am. A happy wife.
Yeah.
It's both ways.
Yeah.
I've been married to my husband for 22 years, and he still comes back.
Yeah. My wife has to deal with me more than anything because she grew up in Podunk, Orem, down south, and very, very sheltered, I'll have to say. And there's a lot of stuff that she's like, I didn't expect this. Welcome to the world where it's not in the bubble.
Like what? Like work or?
All of it. Yeah, like she'll work her ass off, and she's one of the best workers that I know. But she gets like very frustrated very fast when the results aren't there. And I'm like, babe, gotta wait. Let it run.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gotta run its course.
That's the hardest part with anything. I mean, how many times have you done something too quickly and kicked yourself immediately after? Or when you're doing something the same as someone else and you just wrapped it up and that other person took forever, but then they finally did it, you're like, God dang it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue.
Yeah.
And it's something we probably always have to work on. You know, people say that the millennials are instant gratification. And I think that's because they're in the digital age. You guys are probably millennials. I'm a little on the other side. I'm a Grammy, so I knew life before electronics. But
yeah, so did I.
Huh?
I grew up without the internet.
Okay.
I like to refer to myself as a Zennial. It's a cross between Gen X and a millennial.
Okay, I'll take it.
Because we're at that higher spectrum where we could be either or. But they have such a bad reputation. I'm like, yeah, nope, not it.
Well, all my babies are, you know, they're, my oldest is 28 and my youngest is 17, and they have a lot of the same traits. Although my oldest one, you know, was a little bit before that, where my 17 and 19-year-old are right in the middle of it. Like they've always had it. They've always, you know, and I do see the differences that way. And another conversation I was having, this guy was like, well, my kids aren't like that. I gave them foundation and I shouldn't say it like that because it was great what he was saying, but I have 4 kids that I treated exactly the same, and you couldn't find 4 more different people on the world's, like they're all like all over the place. You know, my oldest son graduated as athlete of the year. He was like team captain for football, for basketball, for baseball, and he was little, but he was really, really good. My daughter's super sporty. My middle son was like a skater, not really the sports teams, but like athletic. And my youngest, who is the biggest, doesn't have an aggressive bone in his body, could give 2 shits about competition, and just wants. He is the nicest kid though. Like he really, really cares about everyone. Like he's always, I'm a nice person. I'm a really good girl. Like I really care genuinely about a lot of people. And he's always like, hey, you shouldn't say that. Or, hey, let's be, you know, it's like, where did you get that from? Like, you know, so yes, I believe in foundation, but I think our children are just going to be who they are, whether we like it or not. And they're all great. They're just not like me.
I was listening to something. I can't remember who or when. It was recent. And they said something like, "You're raised by a certain set of people or person, and you're raised with their mindset, and it's going to basically trickle down into you, and that's how you're going to be." And I was like,
Couldn't be more untrue. Like my grandma was 88 and hello?
It's coming in and out.
The two little guys were RJ, my youngest, who the one I was telling you is like super sweet and loves everybody and is like he's like I'm not going to say it. He's very protective of everyone, right? Well, my grandmother, old school, like I'll give you a perfect example. She still said Oriental, I think. Something about someone and he was like, we called her Tati. Tati, it's Asian. That's offensive. You're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And she was like, what? What are you she was like the most devout Catholic you've ever met in your life. So she knows, like, she has, no sins on her, but she was offended that he said she offended someone because she said Oriental. She said a lot of things that were old school that we definitely don't say anymore, that we constantly had to, but that was the least offensive of all of them. And my kids aren't anything like that. Like, especially the younger ones who grew up with her, for many, many years. She lived with us for like 6 years. And they loved her and respected her, but they didn't agree with hardly anything.
I mean, that's one way that I was raised. My dad was in the Marine Corps for 8 years, and I mean, best guy I ever known, meanest son of a bitch there'll ever be, but he also told you, you're going to learn respect for not only yourself, for me and your mother, and for everybody else. Even if they don't deserve it, you're going to give them that little shred of respect.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one time I was telling a joke with buddies, and I mean, it was super funny and yet racist as all get out. And my dad came up from out of nowhere and gave me a brain duster. And he goes, "You know better than that." I'm like, "Sorry, okay, all right." Because, I mean, you can't beat up Staff Sergeant Coy because he'll kill you 6 times before you hit the ground.
Talking about my dad was a Navy vet. And growing up, I just thought my dad was a dick, to be honest with you. He was a functional alcoholic in that we always had a case of beer in the fridge, but I never had an incident or anything happen. My dad always went to work. Everything was, in my eyes, normal, right? But it was always really, really fun when he had more alcohol. Like, he was the guy you never saw, but he was very moody, and mean. And it wasn't until after I lost him and I don't even remember how it happened, that I started hanging out with all these veterans. I think it was because of the VA, because I had found the VA in 2006, I think, for my dad. And we started getting in benefits and doing it. So I started kind of bumping into veterans and learning about nonprofits and things that we could do to support them. But we have a American Legion here in town in the Post. These guys took me under their wing, and I mean, I do anything for them. They're like second daddies to me. They're so awesome. But what I learned about my dad is he wasn't a dick. He had PTSD because he didn't talk about anything and he didn't do. So that would be a whole different podcast. But I think it's important that what they were trying to do was protect us. Not, they weren't trying, it wasn't about being a pussy or not. It was about, you don't need to know what I saw, what I did, and what I went through. They were protecting us.
Yeah.
So and again, that's a whole nother podcast on the veterans, because, they have a whole spot in my heart. Like, we owe them a lot. And and we probably should do a podcast on that. I'm going to introduce you to the commander, and he can do a podcast with you. Because our veterans deserve everything. They do. We need to be there for them emotionally, even though they don't want it. Because a lot of these old bastards don't hug me like that. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. I'm just glad you're here, and I'm glad that we're here together, you know? And it's hard for them to accept that because that's not how it used to be.
Yeah.
Let's absolutely do another episode on that.
That would be awesome.
And that's
We'll
also
hold you to it.
2 episodes in a row where somebody said pussy on our show.
Oh, dang it. I don't even know if I can share this in my community because I started getting like into it with you guys and comfortable, and I'm sure you're not going to block out the.
Nope, we're not.
Nope. That's our thing is
Yeah.
we don't edit anything because if we mess up, we want you to know we messed up. If we screwed up, it's already out there. And why not be genuine? Because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for the genuine.
It's true, but there's like, you know, and that's what I'm trying to get to a place where I can become, because that's who I am. I have the mouth of a sailor because I come from a sailor, and it's just like and especially if I'm like on one, like I was talking for 30 minutes by myself, I forget, you know, and then it just comes out. But I'm also the executive director for my local chamber. And oh my God, I shock the shit out of them all the time because I do stuff like this on accident all the time. So I get talkings too. And I would like to say I'm getting better. I'm probably not, but at least I don't say the F word as much as I used to, because that, you know, so I'm working on it. Baby step.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do the same thing. I mean, I grew up, parents cuss and swear. So, of course, you know, my first word was almost the F word. But, yeah, I mean, there's places for it. And
yeah,
there's some people that don't know about it and some people that do. So,
yeah. Well, and the other thing is you know, Dave Daly was one of my very first clients, and he is my hero. I love him so much. I will always look up to him. And he's the one that taught me to get more comfortable with being real about who I am, because I'm going to be more relevant to people who can connect with me. And yes, there's a certain place and a certain time for everything. But if you're not true to who you are, it's going to come out at the worst time, you know? So just like I said, baby steps, trying to lay off the, you know, the significant ones, and, you know, but you know, like he says, my heart is pure. I'm not malicious. I don't try to do things to F things up or, you know, make someone uncomfortable. And I do try, if I do know that someone, like, I mean, we have members that are pastors, and I hate when I say shit in front of them, and you know, it's like, oh shit, sorry, you know, but they know me now. And the thing is I don't do it to be disrespectful. It's just my vocabulary, you know. I am smart. So they say that sometimes you're not smart, but you know.
They say people who swear more often are more genuine and honest.
Yeah, that's why they say we're not smart, because we're genuine and honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, funny enough.
Talking to 2 dumb rednecks, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, funny enough, you talk about Dave Daly. We had Dave Daly on the show too. And at the end of it, he left the thing where it's like, holy crap. And we just kind of sat here for like 30 minutes. Like, I don't even know how to take in that much information. I mean, we were like, for 4 days, we were like, holy crap. And then 2 weeks later, something that Dave Daly said finally clicked in his head. And he goes, texts me, and he goes, I get it. And I'm like, what do you get? And he like kind of like word vomited out. And I'm like, oh shit. Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of times we overcomplicate things because we're thinking about it and rethinking about it. And, you know, how can we do it this way? Or how did we do it right? Stop thinking about it. Just do stuff. You know, part of the reason why I think I was successful my first year of real estate is I was not going to learn every mark, every hole. That's why I have a broker. I might not know it, but she will. Like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get out there, and you learn as you go. You don't have to be perfect, because you never will be. You know, don't waste time trying to do something, you know, when you're new. It's okay. Accept that. Run with it, you know, and people will trust you if you're honest by saying, I might not know the answers, but I know my broker will. or my boss or my mentor or whatever, I may not know the answer, but I'll find it for you. They believe that more than a wrong answer when they know it's wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think that's what people just are looking for.
Yeah.
They want to see you as you, not you as these 9 different titles.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and the other thing is getting out there, and podcasts are important, and social media is important, but you need to connect with people. You need to talk. You will inspire the person in front of you, and that person will do the same for you. Try to have even this is a little more real. It's a little more, you're here, you're now, you're talking to me, I'm hearing you. Because social media is not always true. Like, I'll be the first to say, if you go on any of my social media sites, I don't post when I'm having a shitty day or whatever drama I'm going through. Because guess what? That's just one thing that I'm dealing with. I'm still getting through it to get to the next thing. And you have to decide that things are not going to affect your future. It's the moment, or it's a decision, or it's that project. But it's not going to, tomorrow you're still going to wake up. You're still going to be hungry. You're still going to, have that next gig. So I do not believe that you should ever talk about politics, religion, or your bullshit on social media. It's not being fake. It's just being in charge of what you're putting out there.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Even Kevin can agree with that, with some of the stuff that he knows about. And it's Facebook used to be cool. Because, people would just post funny stuff and random stuff. And then these new kids that grew up into it just made it terrible. And they're affecting our seniors, because we have seniors that are believing whatever's on there, not looking where it came from, not looking to check the details or the facts, or, they're just believing it because it's on there. And they haven't been trained to understand that social media is a controllable media that can be, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the author decides to put out there, and they don't know that. And then they fall for this, and then they call you freaked out about, the sky is falling tomorrow, and Donald Trump said that we have to go hide. And like, really? Like, you just said that out loud and you believe it? Like, that's stupid. What's wrong with you? But
I mean, technically it's not media at all.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the people.
Yeah.
Using the media. Yeah.
That's not me.
That's not me either.
It's my husband. Knock it off!
I was
Stop fucking around back there!
Oh no.
I'm like, my wife knows that I have a podcast, so she wouldn't be hammering on the wall.
Well, this is my first podcast. Although I did tell him, I don't know why he thinks I can't hear that. I've done podcasts like radio ones or phone ones, or I've never done a video one.
No.
But I do Facebook Live all the time.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing, basically. We're going to split it up into different things anyway, so.
Because I talk too much.
No.
They're like, okay, good night.
We had one episode where we got like 5 words in the whole time.
It was 2 hours long.
I hope that's not me.
That wasn't you.
No, it was 2 hours long. I mean, there was a shit ton of information and value. But we're like, fuck.
Yeah.
He's all, was that too loud? I'm like,
yeah. Yeah, honey. Everyone hears it.
Stop being so creative. That's definitely not me.
He almost got him to spit.
Oh shit!
Good for my ego. I did not know it was that funny.
No, I was mid swallow when you said it, and that's something my wife would say too.
He's on Pinterest more than, well, I don't have Pinterest, but we find some good stuff to do over there, I guess. Pinterest was supposed to be really good for business at one time, but I never saw it. Never.
No,
I recommended it because they did, but I didn't use it and I didn't teach it.
Yeah, my wife likes it for cooking. That's about it.
Yeah, but even still, it's so it's not user friendly in that you click and then there's 12 clicks and then you click, you think you're getting the recipe, but it's really taking you to another 24 of this thing. It's like social media on ADD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Too much info. I don't like it.
Yeah, there was a guy one time who was like, you should do Pinterest. I'm like, you should shave your beard. You done?
No, they did.
Nope.
A lot. There's a lot of men on it now. Or well, actually, I don't know if anybody's still. I guess they are, but it was the male was going up a lot higher because they were doing watches and fashion, men's fashion and woodworking. But then women took over the woodworking because now they're doing it, and it was too much. Just Twitter is kind of like that for me. Like I get it's a different. It's I don't know. It's a lot. I'm on it, but the connections aren't there for me, or they're like, I don't know. It's not. I don't know. Like I don't feel like when I go through Twitter, I don't know anybody on the feed. Like I don't know. They're either like superstars or leaders in their industry, but it's a great place for information, but you still have to check, double check if it's real, where'd it come from, what. And I got tired of, really, is it? I don't have time for it. You're either going to tell me or you're not going to tell me. And if I can't see it clear and concise of where it came from, I'm out.
Nobody got time for that.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I used to do that on Facebook. I have friends that were super believing, and they're on a far radical side of the aisle. So I post shit because I'm like, oh, I think it's funny. I would get a message 20 minutes later. You didn't do any fact checks because I'm waiting for your message, dumbass. You are my entertainment for the day.
We have a cousin who's a senior. She's older. I don't even know if she's radical. She's just crazy. I'm like, is that even English? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. And you're going to go to hell for that. That's not good. That's, I don't know what. And then she threatens me. She sends me messages. You better like my stuff. I'm not, you're lucky we're still connected. I'm going to block your ass in about 2 seconds.
Yep.
I don't post it and I don't like it. What?
I know many of those people.
Yeah, me too.
And they entertain me daily.
I ain't got time for that. I am trying to learn to take in information when we don't agree and say okay, or whatever I'm supposed to say to shut you up. But there's a tick in my brain that just says, "Tell that asshole." I'm like, no, don't say it. No.
Destroy him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm stuck at that really bad. So I'm working on it.
I just do this new thing that I started doing like 2 months ago, where I just leave it. Like, I see it and I'm like, ugh.
Oh yeah, no, I don't. Yeah.
Ain't nothing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. Well, and I actually do unfollow people or unfriend them now if it's like just because a lot. So here's the thing too is I do have 5,000 friends, but if they do something weird or I don't connect with and I don't know them, I unfriend them. I used to feel guilty for that. I don't feel guilty anymore. Do not feel guilty anymore.
I think I have
family, I do feel bad. Sometimes you gotta do it.
I don't feel bad about family. My family's fucking crazy. So
I'm an only child. I hang on to everyone.
That's what my wife does because she's between her and her next sibling is 17 years.
Oh my God. Her poor mother.
And so she like holds on to everything. And she was one time, a short little story about it, but one time one of her brothers was like, if you break her heart, I'm gonna have to kill you. And I looked down and go, you're 20 years older than me, you old fart. I mean, you really, really think that you're gonna do anything and surprise me? You may bust a hip. And he was like, that's not nice. I'm like, I'm not here to be nice. And he goes, well, what's your ultimate goal? I'm like, bang your sister?
Ew. See, that's why I'm old. That's so fucking gross. No, because because I have 4 kids and 5 grandkids, right? So lots of people all the time, but I didn't grow up that way. I was an only child, but we did have 2 cousins that lived with us for a while, but it's not the same. And one of my children's partner had no idea how to have a conversation with an adult. And I almost went to jail a couple times. We'll just put it at that. I hope I don't see him on the street. I might run him over on purpose.
So it looks like we are editing videos.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yes. Yes, you are.
We totally just like trailed off. And
yeah. Sorry.
We've never actually like gone that far into left field.
Yeah.
Like we've come really close, but
sorry.
This is a new one.
I'm really good at that.
It's entertaining though, so I'm gonna enjoy that. We'll put it on a blooper reel somewhere.
One of my favorite taglines when I'm in a meeting or when I'm talking to someone or in an interview. I'm sorry, I digress. Very, very quickly. Just how it happens with me.
Yeah. So I guess another question that always we're trying to always ask is, what is your meaning or thought of success?
Like what's your personal definition of?
I think it's just being productive. You know, a lot of times when we're working for success, we have this ultimate goal or we have what we think it looks like. But if you're doing something every day to make money, to increase your business, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's something that's making a positive impact on your forward momentum, productivity. It just boils down to productivity. You could sit down and make lists all day that you're not going to do. You can reorganize, because entrepreneurs are the worst. We organize, reorganize, do lists, make a to-do list. We're going to have meetings, but what are you doing to be productive? You cannot be successful unless you're productive. So I think success has to be productivity. And it doesn't mean that you have to earn $1 for that task, but it has to get you closer to that goal.
I like that one.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Another new one.
Yep, another new one. Every person we've asked so far has been different in every way. And so I kind of like seeing everybody's different thoughts and everything.
Yeah. That's probably the cool part about entrepreneurs, because there's so many personalities, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. This was really fun. I had a lot of fun. And I am going to bug you and follow up on that other podcast for Commander Segala he's probably going to be like, what do I do? How does this work? I'll have to just hook him up and I can do that. But and it might even just be for, you know, entertainment purposes, just because we're giving him a platform to talk about who he is and what he's trying to do. But his passion is serving other veterans. And if we can reach, you know, one person out there that knows that we care, it would make an impact on them, and that would, you know, be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll be great too, because I mean, we can get it out there, and maybe we'll have another 2 or 3 or 4 of them on there. And I mean,
well, you know what's really sad is there's a lot of younger veterans, and I'm going to say probably 30, 35 and under, that don't even know they have a local chapter for American Legion where they can meet with other dudes and I mean, other veterans of men and women and everybody together. Or they're intimidated because they don't want to talk the same talk as the older guys, but the other guys just want people there. They don't want to lose their chapter or their American Legion to go away. So they're willing to change. They're willing to kind of evolve into serving, you know, the other guys and gals. And I think just veterans having a place to go to learn about resources is important, and getting that word out is really, really important. Okay, sorry.
I think that'd be awesome though. I'd love to get that out. I have a lot of friends that are veterans that are messed up and think the exact same thing.
Right.
You can tell her the story about Zach.
Which story? I got like 9 of them.
Lights Up.
Oh, okay. So I don't have the bottle with me. I'll have to go grab it. But so our personal friend is the owner of Baby Beard Club,
You know Frank so.
Frank So, and really big beard, awesome guy to talk to, and
We're
We do.
Facebook friends. We go way back.
yeah, way back in our teen days.
No.
We helped affiliate market for him.
Yeah, so he gave us, we're like, yeah, we want to do products and this, that. He shipped us like one of everything. And he's like, do what you want. And so I was like, okay. And so my buddy, Zach, went to Iraq once and Afghanistan twice. And I think so. I may be doing it wrong, so don't quote me. But he doesn't sleep well because of it. And so I was like, here, take some lights out. And he goes, well, what do I do? I go, you rub it on your face. And he goes, why? I go, it'll help you sleep. And so then he called me the next day. He goes, dude, that was the best sleep I ever had in my life. And I'm like, okay, well, use it for the next month and I'll get back to you. And I want you to tell me how it is, blah, blah, blah. And he came back like 2 or 3 weeks later. He goes, dude, where do I buy this? And I'm like, I'll set you up. I'll get you a hold of Frank Sell because he does veterans discounts. And he's like, here's all of your line. Got him his entire line, and he uses it all the time now. And it's like
What is that?
little things.
The beard oil with lavender, I think.
It's like lavender and sage.
Really?
Yeah.
Just essential oils mixed in beard oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Well, because there's whenever I hear people say that they can't sleep, and this is going to sound stupid, but I thought everybody couldn't sleep. Like, I didn't know you could go to sleep with nothing. Like, my whole adult life, I've taken, like, I had to stop taking Ambien because I went out and got a check from my ex-husband, like walked in his car, got the check, went back in the house, and then gave him shit the next day for not giving me the check. And he was like, are you serious? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, you walked to my car. And I'm like, I'm never taking that again. So I stopped taking that. So then I took like random prescription stuff, but then stopped doing that. So, but every night I either take NyQuil or, Tylenol PM, and if I don't, I get maybe 3 hours of sleep, and my brain just doesn't stop.
Yeah. I'm the exact same way. I'm pretty sure Kevin's the same way.
Nope, not anymore.
Oh yeah, that's right. You got that air hose to your nose now.
So what?
Up to the nose.
Is that TMI?
I have a CPAP.
Nose, right?
He has a CPAP.
Oh.
That's why it's the air hose to the nose. It's an inside joke.
I don't know how you would sleep with that. You sleep good with that?
I don't sleep very deeply, but I went from, they call it an event when you wake up. I went from 70-something events a night to 0.
Oh my God.
And so from my study to now, I went from like an hour and a half to 2 hours on average per night to about 7 to 8.5 hours.
Wow.
So
Oh yeah.
I'm consciously aware of the hose because I like to spin, and I only spin to the left because I should have raced NASCAR. So I'm like constantly pulling the hose over my head so I don't like wrap it around my neck.
Yeah. That would be tragic.
I like go to roll up and put it up, and then I can roll for a couple hours. But no, it was a hell of an adjustment.
Wow.
Yeah, the first week he's like, I'm not gonna sleep with this. And then the first day he actually slept with it, he woke up, I'm like, where'd the grumpy, weird looking Kevin go to? Because it looks like you slept good.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, I put lights out in a diffuser in my room now. So I'll put some on my beard and I'll put it in the diffuser because my wife's like, well, I want some. I'm like, well,
that's what I was thinking. But I'm also one of those old school, like, and I just bought a doTERRA diffuser for my room for something else. Well, because we have dogs, and there's this one area, and I can't open my room at night, my window, because of the dogs, and whatever. That's a whole other fucking dogs. But I bought that stuff. And I just like my mind cannot wrap around essential oils will take the place of everything I've been doing, for NyQuil and, Tylenol PM or, Benadryl. Take 3 of those bad boys and you're out for 6 hours.
My wife thought the same thing.
Really?
And I put some behind her ears and she was out like a light.
I do have lavender. I think I need sage. So lavender and sage.
Let me look it up. Let me see.
Yeah. I mean, I think I have a couple extra bottles. Take us your address and I'll send you one.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, that would be awesome there's literally, I could count on this hand how many times I've slept through the night without, taking something. But I was like, had a really crazy week where I was, up at 5 and didn't get to bed till late. And so, maybe that Friday night I slept without taking anything. But if I don't, I'll fall asleep pretty good. By midnight, I'm awake and I don't go back to sleep till 3:30, 4:30. It sucks. And then I got to get up at 5:30.
Yep, you're right. Lavender and sage.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't put the beard oil in my diffuser, but I got my wife this big pack of freaking crap. She's mixing them together and stuff, and
yeah,
it doesn't work for me because my air is filtered, but
right.
It worked great for her.
Yeah, I have a diffuser in my office of serenity and peppermint.
Peppermint's great.
I like peppermint.
It actually does help for headaches.
Yeah.
We sprayed like the whole base of our house inside and out with peppermint. We don't get mice anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. Because we get them we leave the garage door open for the dogs, so we get mice in the garage.
I live in the country next to a canal.
Oh my gosh.
Not a canal, it's a river. But
and the peppermint oil works?
Peppermint oil, and then in our trailer we use the Irish Spring.
What?
Irish Spring soap.
Soap? Irish Spring soap?
Yeah. You get the big case of the green soap from Walmart for like $3.
But isn't that a bar?
Yeah, just cut it in half, and I put it in like all the cabinets and along the floors and all the storage. Never had mice in my trailer. And then we'll go with peppermint spray it, and we're golden.
That is awesome. I'm totally going to try that. I cannot wait to tell Jody. He's going to be like, what? Who are you talking to?
You're talking to a hippie.
Yeah.
He's from one of those mountain communities I was telling you about. I made him into a Flatlander.
Yeah.
He uses the air conditioner and the fireplace now, and he didn't do that when we first. I'm always cold, so it'll be like 64 outside, and I'm like, can you see my breath? I'm so cold. He's like, oh my God, stop it.
Where I'm at, last year it got down to -15 in my
No. That's why I don't want to move, honest to God. Anything colder than 7, if it's 69, it's freezing. But I also don't like the heat. Like anything hotter than like 90, it's too hot.
Yeah, we got a wood burning stove, and so I run that instead of the furnace most of the time. No.
Yeah, but then it's only warm where that is, right?
No.
It warms up the whole house?
That thing will blast us out of this house. We're, 2,600 square feet? 2-story house?
Shut up. And the stove does it?
Yeah. I didn't believe it either, and I lit the first fire in there after we got it fixed and stuff that had an issue. And I lit the big old fire in there, and sure enough, the whole house, it went from 60 degrees to 90 in 10 minutes.
That's a badass stove.
Yeah,
I was like, I got to learn how to use this.
There's got to be a way to make a middle. Yeah. My nose is sensitive. I get cold. I get hot. California is good for me because 72, that's where I want to be all the time. Don't put me in the snow because my feet get cold and it's all wet and gross. And no, I don't even like to go to the mountains when it snows for the kids because the kids always now the grandkids want to go. I'm like, it's freezing up there. I'm not going up there. Tell your papa I'm not going. But I'll go to the beach.
Oh, come on. The most fun I've ever had was when we went ice fishing in negative 60 to 5 degrees.
We
That's
took
going to be the image for YouTube.
perfect. That'll go over well with the board of directors. We went to the snow when my kids were little, and my daughter threw a snowball at my father, remember the veteran with PTSD, only we didn't talk about it, and my grandfather and they laughed. And I was like, they would have killed me dead. Like, you would have never seen me again if I would have done anything like that. And she was like, ah! I was like, how does that, what the? I was like, no. So maybe I'm a little
sure that's going to be like my children. Mom and Grandpa are amazing. They weren't that great back in my day.
Right? It's totally different. And like when the babies come, everything is different. Because like with your kids, it's kind of like when your kids' friends come over, how you're really nice to them because then they go away. Well, your grandbabies are the same thing. You're like, oh my God, they're so precious. And now I'm tired and it's time for you to go home.
There's a bunch of sugar. Get the hell out of here.
Well, and you kind of have to do that to shut them up for a little bit. So I'm sorry they're a little ready to not go to bed when you get them. Yeah, I don't like to do the nighttime with them. I always feel bad, so I don't let them spend the night because they always want to go home. Like, no.
Depends on the kid. My youngest won't. If he's not in his bed, no.
But that's how all of them are that way too. They'll and then so I tell them they can go out but they need to come back. I'm no spending the night because I don't sleep, or I got a foot in my right here, or I'm halfway off the bed, and no. I only get 1 day off a week. You're not gonna F up that sleep for me. Because I'm off the next day, and See, I didn't say it, so that's baby steps. I tell you.
There you go. The baby steps working.
Oh my God, you guys are awesome.
That's
okay,
funny.
So veterans, oil, success. We covered the gamut. Family, getting fired more than once. It's still light at the end of the morning and dark at night, and nobody died, and life is still good. Life is still great.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's funny because I listen to some of our podcasts and I'm like, man, we are dry and slow, but when we're doing them, it's so fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, because it's probably the little lulls where we're like catching our breath because, and then you're like, wait, what?
Like the one that we did yesterday, he was like, my podcast, there's only 2 of us, so we're back and forth. Like, how does this work? I'm like, just
go with it.
It's back and forth, but between 2 others.
Like we have a good, we feed off of each other really well.
Yeah.
So.
So wait a minute. So Bradley, where are you?
I'm in. You can consider it northern Utah.
It's Salt Lake County.
Yeah, Salt Lake County.
So how far apart are you guys?
2 hours.
300 miles.
And how often?
300. It's 160.
Oh my God!
Like
you guys are never going to agree on anything on the map.
I have the sign on the highway as I pull out of my town that says Salt Lake City, 160 miles.
It feels like 300. It is so bad.
Oh, it's not.
I have to stop at Nephi just to get my legs out and walk around.
So, do you guys work together remotely often, or do you?
Yeah.
Because I saw a couple videos where you were together.
Yeah. So we do meet up from time to time, and like the last one that we did was our Schnarpener that I call it now.
Yeah.
But we were actually on the elk hunt, and so I went down there and we spent a week on the elk hunt. And then we're in a lull and our bodies hurt from hiking as much as we did. So let's do this. I've got my sharpener down here and it was fun. And so we're looking into do product reviews.
Yeah.
He'll do one brand. I'll do a different brand. and then we'll ship them back to each other and kind of.
Ooh, that's awesome. Yeah, one of the ladies, somebody on Facebook found this postcard or a letter or picture. I don't know what she found, but it was something that was tied to our city, right? And it was from the 20s. Another lady posted, hey, I could probably find the family that it belongs to. And I was like, you guys need to record that, like interview each other, like document I would totally watch that, you know? So there's a lot of times that I'm still talking. My time is running up, fellas. Daddy's calling.
We actually grew up with each other. We weren't like friends per se, but like we were like 4 streets apart from each other.
Yeah, we weren't that far.
Went to school with each other?
Yeah.
Schooled with each other, and then reconnected on Facebook like 3 years ago or something.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And grew together more or less, and we lived like 10 minutes apart for that whole time. And then I had a house with my mother, and don't ever do that.
Yeah.
And so
I would never
to sell the house and go our separate ways. And anything in like the northern half of Utah is like stupid expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we were just priced out of the area. And we had planned on coming down here. Eventually we wanted to buy land and build a house and kind of have like a double house kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And we said screw it, we just went now. So that's why we do everything remotely.
Yeah.
But I mean, it works, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and that's one thing we talked about is, you know, eventually me and my wife want to get down there too. It's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but, you know, we have Zoom, we have Facebook, we can kind of connect that way. And it works. It works actually surprisingly well for us.
Yeah, that's cool.
Long distance relationship.
It's a long distance bromance.
Oh, it's good. It works. No, you guys are really good together, and you have a chemistry that makes it easy to have a conversation with both of you and feel engaged, and you know, it's comfortable. Not that I'm, you know, easy to talk to.
Well, we appreciate that. It's good feedback.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I look forward. I've been trying to give you an exit like 16 times, and then we just digress into something else.